All right, welcome to the Responders Rut Breaker workshop. As always, in all of our workshops, you're going to get this training video, you're going to get the slides to download, and you're going to get the workshop document. Inside that little bonus guide, it will contain all the activities that are in here to make this really easy for you to implement. So, as always, it's a combination of information and it's a combination of action. Okay, you need to be able to take action on everything you learn here. That's what this is all about. So, what is a rut? A rut can be described as a habit or pattern of behavior that has become dull and unproductive, but is hard to change. That's what it is. We're stuck. We're doing the same thing over and over and over again. We're not moving anywhere and we're not living the life that we want. We're not moving from A to B. We are stuck. And it happens to everyone at some point or another. It's inevitable, but it doesn't take much to break out of it. There are things that we can do, tools that we can use, practices that we can follow to help break that rut. We need to break the pattern. We need to generate some momentum. And as I said, it doesn't need to be some huge life-altering action that you take. It just needs to be something because those little somethings add up. And you've heard me say time and time again, it's that process of compounding interest. We do things and they build up. They build up these small actions. They stack on top of each other to create a much bigger result long term. So that's the first thing I want you to bear in mind here. You don't need to go and change your life to break out of a rut. You don't need to do anything drastic. You don't need to do anything crazy. You just need to find a small action and take it. But to do that, we need to be able to see something different than what we currently see. We need to be something different, and then we need to do something different or better. Depends on what terminology works better for you. So we either need to see better, be better, or do better, or see differently, be differently, and do differently to what we're currently doing. And that's all going to start with seeing. But we can't see if we're shrouded in chaos or if our thoughts and feelings don't align. The whole process gets easier if we can think and feel better. Once we think and feel better, it's easier to start to see something better for ourselves. When we can see something better for ourselves, we can start to be a better person. We can start to be who we need to be in order to do what we need to do to get where we got to go. So that's why we start with the chaos. If you are a fan of Project Tempest, if you've been following for a while, then you'll be familiar with the 3C philosophy. Everything that Project Tempest is built on comes from this key philosophy here that we need to navigate the continuum. We need to get out of chaos, get clear on what we want, and then go out and create it. If you can deal with the chaos, then you're going to start to think and feel better. And that's going to give you space to get clear on what you want, and that is going to lead to better actions. Better actions get you closer to what you want. So really, the process looks like this. Think and feel better, see, be, and do better, or differently, whichever way you want to think about it, and then ultimately having better. Having that thing that we want, moving from A to B, moving from where we are to where we want to go. And it all begins with awareness. And from there, once we've built this awareness and we've started to deal with our chaos, we start to get clear, we've started to become a creator, then we just need to work on increasing our capacity, our clarity within the bigger picture, and I'll explain what that means in a minute, and then our consistency. Because as we walk the continuum, we're going to do it over and over again. It's a continual work in progress. And this applies to anything that you pursue. You always start with chaos. As you start to deal with the chaos, you start to think and feel better. You open up your eyes and you become more clear. You start to build that vision for what you want. You have an idea of what B looks like, but until you're clear of the chaos, you won't know for sure. And the other thing that we do there is we start to work on what the actual path and the plan to get to B looks like. And of course, we have the creation where we look at consistency, staying on track, taking action. Once you get to B and you've started to get to where you want to be, have some of the things you want to have, be the person you want to be, you'll notice that the process starts again because we are continually evolving. One of the things we do in Project Tempest is we try and seek out our best self. We're not a one and stop kind of place. We want to continually seek evolution because I believe that humans have the capacity to just keep getting better and better. So every time we go from A to B, we then go from B to C, C to D, and we just keep getting better and better and better. But every time we go through this process of clarity and creation and getting out of chaos, as we go through there, we figure out what our path and our plan is. We are more consistent, we improve our capacity, and it just goes over and over and over again, and we keep getting better and better. So let's break this down a little bit. Within chaos, we have our capacity to deal with stress, our capacity to deal with the chaos in our life. If you have low capacity, you probably have super high chaos in your life. Within clarity, we have our big vision, the overarching picture of what we want, but then we also have micro clarities. We need to know what our path and our plan is going to be in order to get to that big vision. And then within creation, we have our consistency, taking consistent strategic action that gets us to where we want to go. I'm going to pop the triangle in there. You can see those key things that we spoke about earlier. So we're going to take a small step towards raising awareness in each area in chaos, clarity, and creation to help you drive into rut breaking action. So let's crack on with this. Our goal with chaos is to reduce it. All right, we can't completely get rid of chaos. That's impossible. And we need a little bit of chaos to make life interesting. We need a little bit of stress in our world to challenge us. But we want to reduce it. So your first task here is to identify the key chaos makers in your life. And then you're going to look at your actions. What actions do you take that amplify that chaotic thing in your life? You'll be doing something that makes it worse. We're humans. We make mistakes, we do things wrong. And if you were doing everything right, you wouldn't be currently stuck in a rut. So you're going to identify the actions that you're actually taking that amplify that chaos for you. Then you're going to flip that on its head. What actions could you take to reduce that chaos in your world? I've given you a little example here. So chaos is poor sleep, which is quite a common thing for first responders. What are we doing to amplify it? What actions are you taking? Drinking too much coffee in the evening. So what could we do to reduce that? We switch it to herbal tea. Simple little things that we can do to make a difference. So you're going to go through and you're going to make a big list. All the things that cause you chaos, all the things that you're doing that are amplifying it, and then I want you to flip the script on this and figure out what you could actually do to reduce it. What's the alternative action? What's the opposite of what you're doing now? Then you're going to look over that list and you're going to look at the biggest needle mover for you. So all those things that are causing you chaos, which one's the kicker? Which one, if you could really get a handle on, would change your world for the better? Then I want you to look at that action, the one you said that is making it worse, and then look at the opposite of that, the thing that you could do to reduce it. Take the action you've written in the reduce section and scale it right down to something super, super simple, and then schedule it in. So if we go back to this example here, how do we schedule this down and make it actual reality, something we can do? So the first thing here, if we're going to switch to herbal tea, we need to go and buy some. So that's going to be the first action. I'll scale it down to just buying a packet of herbal tea. I'm going to schedule it in with my weekly shopping. It's as simple as that. Then you could take it a step further and you could say, right, I'm going to pack it into my work bag to take with me. You see how this works? We're taking a super, super simple action, making it even simpler. We're making it idiot proof, and then we're scheduling it in so that we do it. And I'm going to give you some extra help on how to do this when we get to the creation section. Okay, so this is step one. Start to think about how we can reduce the chaos in your world. Because when you do that, you open up space for clarity. And as we said earlier, there's three aspects to clarity. There's your big overarching vision, the thing that fills you with purpose and keeps you moving. And then within that, there's the path that you're going to follow and the plan that you're going to execute. Those three things combined are what help you get A to B. And of course, the execution of all of this comes under creation. Now, there's a QR code for you here. If you scan this now, I'm going to give you a sec to scan it. It's going to open up a map. Now, these maps are things that we regularly use inside the Underground Academy. Maps are really useful because they help you figure out where you're at now and where you want to go. We have three really detailed maps in the Academy. We have the foundation map, we have the gap map, and we have the future map. These help you establish the facts of your reality because without those facts, then you can't build a vision for your future. Without those facts, you can't figure out what your path is. You can't build a plan. You have to have facts around what's going on in your life right now. And sometimes just actually having that level of clarity around your life can actually be enough to move you forward. Because when you're in a rut, you're often confused. And sometimes you're even unaware of what you're doing that's keeping you stuck. If we look back at what we've said here, looking at your own actions, what's amplifying and making things worse, some of these things you'll be completely unaware of until you actually sit down and you do this activity. And that will raise your awareness. And as we raise awareness around all of these things, we can start to implement change. So you've got that map there. Okay. Take time with it. It's quite an in-depth map. So you're going to want to sit down when you've got a good 10, 15 minutes and go through it. Don't rush it. If you rush it, you won't get much out of it. The goal is to be purposeful with that. Okay. Because that's going to unlock a lot of things for you. Then when you've done the map, you can move on to the creation phase. So this is where we actually start to take steps. Now, it's all well and good for me to say, well, here's what I'm doing wrong, here's what I can do right. You still got to do it. We started it by saying, well, let's shrink it down to its smallest step and let's schedule it in. But how can we actually get ourselves to do it? Because you can schedule yourself stupid, but sometimes you just need something to kick you over the line. You need something to just make you get it done. And that's what I'm giving you here, the motivation protocol. So what this does is it takes you through a process that harnesses your brain chemistry to create the feeling of motivation, and that will induce action. We can effectively hack our own neurochemistry to create the feelings that we want. We do this in the Underground Academy. We call it emotional alchemy. It's how we learn to feel the way we want to feel. And it's something we do quite early on in our programs because, as I said earlier, if you're going to see and be and do and have greater in your life, you need to think and feel greater. And that's something that we can do, something that we can work on. And this is just a small part of that. So, understanding how emotions work and how your neurochemistry combines with that is really useful. And this will give you a little taste of it. So, you scan the code or click the link that's in the guide and it'll bring up the motivation protocol. You can follow the steps, okay? Go through the whole process and it'll help you work through the things that are on your chaos list. So you can take whatever action you've chosen, the biggest needle mover, and put it through the motivation protocol. And then you can do the same again with anything that comes up in your maps. You might complete your clarity map and think, God, I really need to do this. And you can go through the process with the motivation protocol to shrink it down and push yourself over the line so you can actually go and do something. And the thing you'll do at the motivation protocol right at the very end, it's only a small action, something that takes 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes, repeated often enough, consistently, like we said earlier when we're looking at our triangle, that's what brings results. Compound effect. Now, I want you to remember that what we're doing here with this Rut Breaker workshop, this is just a micro version of going across the 3C continuum, okay? It's just going to get you a couple of footsteps further than where you were. We want to generate some momentum and literally just get out of the rut. This is you being in that rut, that big trench, sticking up a ladder and climbing out of it. It's not necessarily getting you to B, but it's moving you away from A. You started somewhere down here near A, and now you're probably up here where this N is for now. We're not where we want to be yet, but we've stuck up that ladder, we've climbed out of the trench, and we started to move forwards. Longer journey, the journey from A to B, B to C, C to D, that's going to require more resources. It's going to need a map, so your path and your plan. That's something that I've built inside of Project Tempest, and there's the ability to customize it for yourself. You're going to need skills, you're going to need tools, and you're going to need support. And of course, you're going to need a growth mindset. the openness to actually walk down this path and to learn the new skills, to use the tools, to accept the support and seek it out so that you can follow the path, implement the plan, and get to where you want to go. So there's some bonuses as well. I'm going to give you the recovery protocol. That is designed to help increase your capacity through better recovery. As we said, one of the key things in dealing with your chaos is actually just increasing your capacity to deal with chaos. To increase your capacity, you need to learn to recover better. Better recovery means better capacity. So I'm going to give you that protocol there. It's a simple 3-step protocol that you can follow just to help you recover and stave off burnout. Then the extra bonus is to just complete a rut breaker day. Okay. When we get stuck in a rut, like we said, we're doing the same thing over and over again. Sometimes just a bit of novelty and a change of environment can go a long, long way towards pushing you out of that rut. So I've put some instructions on what to do just to get you thinking about it in the guide. Now you can access the guide by scanning the code here, or you can click the links under this video. But everything in this workshop is laid out for you there. The activities, all of the links to the tools, everything you need is there. Now this is simple, okay? But it'll only work if you do. Go through the process, do the tasks, do the chaos task, do the clarity map, do the creation task by using the motivation protocol to generate momentum and actually just do something. If you get to the point where those 3 things have got you moving, they've got you out of that little rut, then go do the rut breaker day. Use that to compound it, to cement it. I can guarantee you will feel so much better. So once you've done the tasks, send me an email and let me know what you did and how you got on with everything, because I would love to know what results you got from going through this process. And like I said, this is just a micro step along the continuum. If you know you're ready for the bigger journey, you want to dive right in, drop me a line and we'll talk about how we can get you in the resilient responder experience or on the waiting list, depending on what spaces we've got available. So that's everything now. Go get the guide, go do the tasks, and let me know how you get on.